AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Decision Critical, Concierge Nursing. We are live today at Court to Table on Burbank. Gordon McKernan will be here in 1 hour from right now on site with us for the bulk of Hour 3, and very much looking forward to that conversation with G to talk about everything that's happened over the last 10 days in and around Baton Rouge. So we'll get to that. Right now, though, LSU, believe it or not, is actually going to play a football game on Saturday. This has been the... Someone asked me earlier, when was the last time LSU-Bama week was this quiet? I literally cannot remember. I mean, probably, maybe some of those bad Bama teams when they were shuffling coaches in the, after Stallings, the DuBose, Francione, into Shula, Mike Price, it's something. Anyway, whatever. Let's head to Tuscaloosa and find out what's going on that end of it. Hit it, Muse.
Tigers are on the hunt. Let's head behind enemy lines to preview this week's matchup.
Nick Kelly covers Alabama for AL.com. He's on Twitter @_Nick Kelly. Good enough to join us. Hey, man, how are you?
Hey, Matt, good to be with you. Doing well, and watching from afar, certainly taking in all that's going on in Baton Rouge.
Dude, it's been something. But it's so odd. I don't know if you heard the lead-in, but this is, for a decade and a half, this was like one of the cornerstone games of the entire college football calendar. It has been crickets here this week talking to LSU-Bama. What's the vibe like there in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, it feels like it's fizzled some. But frankly, it feels like it's maybe going to be too easy for Bama. And I think that's not a good thing for Alabama, because I think there's all this talk that, hey, Alabama's playing well. They won all these ranked games, and LSU is sputtering, and new staff, and Brian Kelly fired. And to me, that just, it doesn't maybe bode well for Bama, because if they overlook this LSU team, there's still talent there, and Frank Wilson could give some energy to this LSU team. And so, yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Alabama handles this from a maturity standpoint.
Nick, one of the interesting things about DeBoer, and I know y'all have talked about it a ton there, but he's been excellent against ranked opponents. His Achilles heel has been when he's a double-digit favorite over unranked teams. What gives there?
I don't know, but I think that DeBoer's probably begging the ranking folks to put just some numbers by the team, or even just put some schedules around the locker room. He just puts a number next to each team they play, because, they do really well in these big games. And that's why I think South Carolina was a big step forward, because that was it was an ugly game. Don't get me wrong. It looked like Alabama might lose it. But the fact that they found a way to win was a step forward, because, to your point, for whatever reason, they don't always handle their business, or they haven't under DeBoer prior to that South Carolina game. So in some ways, it's been interesting, because Kalen and the staff and different people have been talking about, essentially hyping up LSU. Like, hey, they've got some elite receivers, returners, different things that trying to accentuate the good things that LSU has, because, Alabama has overlooked teams at times. And as well as the season has gone, last season they overlooked Oklahoma, and to quote Ty Simpson, they pissed that away and the playoff spot away, even though they were on track.
It's interesting, because you're right. The LSU has talent. They just haven't played well. Let me dig in a little bit here with a few things about Bama that I find interesting. So statistically, they're a lot like LSU in the fact that they're very poor running the football. but at times it feels like I've seen Alabama successfully run the football. So explain to me what's going on there with a team that's ranked 114th nationally in rushing offense.
Yeah, it's not consistent, and it always seems to be that there's something that doesn't work. Like, say 4 guys could block well, but a 5th guy misses his, or he gets blown up on the line. So it always seems like just something is missing in the execution. And now I don't think they necessarily have an ace running back or a home run back, so that doesn't necessarily help. But you don't have to if you block well in the open holes. I mean, Jen Miller's a good running back. He's not bad. But it just hasn't lined up for some reason. And I think at this point it probably is not going to on a consistent basis. So I think you just need enough of a threat of a running game, maybe timely running, to go with what has been at times a lethal passing game.
Well, the passing game that you mentioned is the obvious thing to talk about because Ty Simpson's been awesome. I think everybody knows 20 touchdowns, just 1 pick. That ratio leads the country. Nick, I don't know that anybody saw this from Ty Simpson. Maybe even the most optimistic Alabama fan could have been hopeful. But, I mean, I don't have a Heisman vote. If I did, he would be my front runner right now. To what do you attribute this just seismic leap from a guy who lost the job to Jalen Milroe, who struggled a lot of times, to a guy that might well win the Heisman Trophy this year?
Yeah, I think in people's minds, just watching from afar, it looks like he went from 0 to 100. But Ty was solid last year in practice, and, he had a great spring. And I think that Kalen DeBoer is kind of in a tough spot because you have the guy coming back who had led Alabama to the Rose Bowl from 23. So you and obviously Jalen was a talented player and did a lot of good things, but he kind of had to go with Jalen Milroe. But at the same time, Ty was behind the scenes really improving and really looking sharp and had a lot of people optimistic. So I think, to your point, I was not saying, Ty's going to win the Heisman or he's going to be a Heisman contender. But I think there was some thought and some confidence in what he could do because he was doing it behind the scenes for a while in a situation that was kind of tricky for DeBoer to navigate in his first year.
Nick Kelly's with us, AL.com. He's on Twitter @_Nick Kelly. Give him a follow there. If you flip it over and look defensively at Alabama, it's another thing, Nick, where it looks a lot like LSU. Maybe not great against the run, but really talented on the back end. How would you define how that front seven has played for Bama this year?
I would say inconsistent. I mean, I think they've had some really good moments, but I think there have been some bad moments at times too. I mean, pass rush-wise, it hasn't been consistent, but I think they are improving. I do think Deontay Pierre, he had 3 sacks against Tennessee, and he is on an upward trajectory. They've been decimated at that outside linebacker spot with injuries. They've had one guy who's out for the year, another guy who has missed most of the season. So that hasn't helped. But no, the pass rush is not consistent. And I think you've seen that at times hurt them. And at times the front seven hasn't defended the run well. But overall, I think they have gotten better. I mean, the Florida State game was absolutely the worst. They played on their heels. It was bad. But they have improved. So you don't quite know what you're going to get, but there's some playmakers there. And it's kind of a bend but don't break kind of defense. I mean, you look at Deontay Lawson, he made that clutch forced fumble against South Carolina late in that game. So they'll make plays. They've got some good players, just not maybe that 9-6 kind of LSU Bama defense or that kind of game that you're seeing. Not quite that level.
Brother, I think the only way we ever see that again is just a puke fest of football, like that 3-2 Auburn Mississippi State game years ago, or even Auburn Kentucky this past weekend, that 10-3 ball game. I mean, it would just have to be like that 9-6 game was actually a thing of beauty, which I don't know that we'll ever see that again in football. But
masterpiece, really.
It was awesome. A couple of more for you. So if there is a way for LSU, this offense that struggled so much this year, to find some success against that Alabama defense, where do you think it might come?
Yeah, I think it's running the ball, which maybe LSU fans don't want to hear because from what I understand, the running game has been inconsistent for the Tigers. But I think teams that have had success against Alabama's defense on a consistent basis has been on the ground. Whether that's a mobile quarterback, whether it's a running game that finds gaps, it's not usually a consistent, getting 5-6 yards per carry every time. It's, big run here, big run there, a lot of stops, and then another big run or something like that. So there are those gaps at times. So LSU's got to figure out a way to create that because, pass defense has been really solid for Bama throughout this year.
How's Alabama in the third phase on special teams?
I think solid. I mean, the kicking game, I wouldn't say it's something that you can feel good about, meaning if Alabama's needing a 48-yard field goal to beat LSU, that's not a spot they like to be in. I mean, Kalen DeBoer loves to go for it on fourth down, which in part I think is his aggressive personality. In part it's the kicking game with field goals with Connor Talty has not been consistent and has been a little bit erratic at times. So, yeah, they don't quite have Will Riker right now like they had for those, 4 or 5 glorious years where they had pretty much automatic kicking.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Saban's Achilles heel for so many years, man. Saban and them kickers, and then he hit on Reichert there at the end, which was something to see. But in any event, hey, what do you think is the blueprint for Kalen DeBoer to get out of Saturday with a win? Yeah,
protect Ty Simpson. If Ty Simpson has time, I think Alabama is going to have a fairly comfortable afternoon, or I should say evening. But that's been an issue at times. They haven't always protected Ty Simpson well, and if LSU's front can get after Ty, I think that could go a long way toward disrupting this offense. So yeah, if the offensive line can protect Ty Simpson, I think it's going to be a tough afternoon, or there I go again. Tough evening for LSU in Tuscaloosa.
You've covered a lot of afternoon games this year. It's interesting. I've watched a lot of Alabama this year because LSU's generally played at night and Bama's played during the day, so I've gotten to see quite a bit of them. But I guess all those old habits die hard. He's Nick Kelly, AL.com. Get him at _Nick Kelly. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the time.
Hey, thanks for having me, Matt. Have a good one.
You do the very same. Good stuff there from Nick. We appreciate it. It is After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR. Love telling you about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Gents, if you're thinking of popping the question, I'm going to keep hammering this home. Remember, Lee Michaels, that's the place to go to buy that beautiful diamond engagement ring. They've been doing it for 4 decades. By the way, gents, maybe you got an anniversary coming up. Maybe it's a milestone anniversary. How about you trade in that old diamond for an upgrade? I mean, let's just be honest. Generally, you get engaged, you're in your 20s. Maybe you're not doing as much in your career financially as you might be doing in your 40s or 50s. It's just natural progression of life, right? You want to upgrade that diamond. You could do it at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. 10 locations, 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. They're all over. And they're online at LMFJ.com. Thrill her with a gift in the red box and always get that Lee Michaels experience. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR. We're here at Court to Table in Baton Rouge on Burbank. Gordon McKernan will be with us on site in about 45 minutes from right now. Man, I want to talk to Gordon about everything that's happened over the past 10 days. Brian Kelly's firing, the buyout, the governor, Verge being now full-time, a president in place, Bama this weekend, NIL, how do you keep the roster together, all of the everything. I mean, get to talk to one of LSU's top boosters. We're going to take advantage of that. Looking forward to having G with us here in about 45 minutes, so that's coming up. Stay with us. We're not going to quick break. Saints injury report, the updated injury report for Saints-Panthers is out. We'll get to that. We got what to watch in about 15 minutes. We got a lot to do, and glad you're hanging out with us here on a Thursday edition of AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing.
AFR.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001, 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. You know, we've been having temperatures in the 40s in the morning this week. A lot of you, before you go to bed, you crank that heater on maybe for the first time this year. If you have not yet had your heater safety check, it's not too late to get this done. And I could not recommend it highly enough. I practice what I preach. Erica and I do this every year. Years ago, like when we got married, in our first house, we joined the maintenance club. And as maintenance club members, we get complimentary seasonal maintenance. That means during the winter, we get our heater safety check. During the spring, summer, we get our AC tune-up. And that's complimentary service when you're part of their maintenance club. Even if you're not, you still need to get this done. Call them today, 752-0001.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
All right, Saints and Panthers this weekend up in Charlotte. After the trade deadline, it'll be interesting to see what the Saints might actually be able to look like. Of course, no Trevor Penning after you've traded him. No Rashid Shaheed. Of course, Eric McCoy's already out. We're going to keep an eye on Taliesin Fuaga and how that looks for his availability for this weekend. The Saints injury report is out for the Saints and Panthers this week. This is the updated injury report for today. So as we kind of look at what this looks like, the most notable DNP is still Taliesin Fuaga. He's got the ankle injury. Of course, he was carted off against this past weekend on the road, and I can't help but look at this and I don't know, man. This is giving me awful vibes like a season ago, where that offensive line was a total mash unit. When at one point you had 3 starters down, and it's kind of looking like it again, where McCoy's been lost for the season. Now you've traded Trevor Penning. Dylan Radins is going to go in at left guard, no doubt. If Taliesin Fuaga isn't in there, you're going to have a hole at right tackle. So really your most experienced lineman is, I guess Luke Fortner at center, but really Cesar Ruiz at right guard, who's your worst lineman. And then you got a rookie left tackle. Carolina is, as I look at them, that's not a great defensive team, but that's a defensive team that at times has played really well, if that makes sense. The Panthers right now are 16th in the NFL in scoring defense. They're smack dab in the middle, but that number is skewed because they give up 42 on the road at New England. They give up 40 against Buffalo. So you give up those big numbers against better offenses. Okay, well, I can also look at them shutting out Atlanta 30-0, or just this past weekend in Green Bay, going to Green Bay to play the Packers and giving up just 13 points to Jordan Love in that offense. So it's a Panthers defense that at times this year, has been good. What that team has struggled to do is find consistency. They shut out Atlanta 30-0, and then they get blown out a week later at New England 42-13. They get blown out by the Bills 40-9. Then they beat the Packers on the road 16-13. So that's a team that's 5-4, but they have struggled to find consistency, which means you could see a Carolina team show up that beat Atlanta 30-0, or it could be the team that got routed 42-13, or was in just a total knockdown, drag-out 13-6 puke fest against the Jets, who might be the worst team in football. And that was before the Jets traded Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner. So anyway, we'll see how it looks for that Saints offense. I think all of us are just trying to look at this team to see how they evaluate Tyler Shuck throughout the course of the remainder of this season, right? They gave Spencer Rattler 14 starts, 6 a year ago, and then the first 8 this year. And the remainder of this season is going to be Tyler Shuck's. And you got to find a way to get an evaluation on him, despite the fact that you're going to have a maybe the worst offensive line in football, and you just traded away the guy who has been your best your most dynamic offensive weapon in Rashid Shaheed. So this is going to be a lot of Chris Olave, Devon Vele, Jawan Johnson. Does Taysom Hill get more involved? I don't know. How healthy is Alvin Kamara? We'll see. It's just really hard to expect that this is going to look good at all offensively. So Fuaga's a DNP. The other DNP on Thursday was Devon Gottschall, but that's been every week. It's a veteran day rest day that he gets on Thursday. Brian Brzee was added to the injury report today. He was a limited participant with a back injury. So Gottschall and Brzee were the 2 new additions on the injury report. And then the others, those that were limited, Kamara, Stoll were limited. Kamara with an ankle, Stoll with an ankle, and then those on the injury report that were full were Taysom, Cam Jordan, Barry Wesley, and Jonah Williams. So Saints pretty healthy, but the one place where you've struggled so mightily on that offensive line, and you could ill afford to lose anyone else, your starting right tackle, Taliesin Fuaga, very much up in the air because, look, if you're not at least out there in a limited capacity by Friday, we talk about this all the time, but and especially in a road game where you're traveling, if you're not at least out there in a limited capacity by Friday, it is hard to imagine him giving it a go on Sunday because you got to fly with elevation. A lot of times there comes swelling, and so with that ankle, man, it could be a challenge. But this isn't the first time Fuaga's battled injury this year and gone out there and given it a go. He's had the knee injury already this year, and now he's battling the ankle. The flip side, the one name above all others that we got to keep an eye on for Carolina is Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle, the former South Carolina running back, he has been awesome this year. One of the biggest surprises in the NFL, averaging nearly 6 yards a carry. He's already over 700 yards rushing on the season. Rico Dowdle, with the quad injury, was a DNP Wednesday, limited Thursday. So he was out there in limited capacity. You have to figure they are just ramping him up slowly to get him out there however they need to get him ready to go on Sunday. But listen, this is a Carolina offense that Bryce Young has been certainly not dynamic. They're 30th in the NFL in passing offense. So, and look, they drafted Teteroa McMillan with the 8th overall pick. So they've got some investment there in their passing game, especially with Bryce Young being a former number 1 overall pick, and then McMillan. Then of course you had Xavier Legette as well. So you've got investment there into some playmakers, but that offense has gone this year as Rico Dowdle has taken them, averaging 5.5 yards a carry. He's been great, man, and so that's the thing to keep in mind. And this is a Saints defense that has been really bad against the run this year. So can they find a way to stop the run or limit the run, make Bryce Young beat them throwing the football? Then, our Kool-Aid McKinstry and Quincy Riley, Alontae Taylor able to limit that passing game and those receivers. We'll see. It's the lot in life of being a bad football team, which the New Orleans Saints are. But keep an eye on Rico Dowdle and his health. The other thing, just really quickly on the injury report for Carolina, there were 2 new names. So Bryson Tremaine, a wide receiver, was a new addition with a hip injury. He was a DNP. Derek Brown, this could potentially be significant. He was limited. He was not on the injury report Wednesday. Then he was limited Thursday with an elbow injury. It doesn't look like it's anything serious. I mean, he was out there just in a limited capacity, but something worth watching as he's been a menace. Everyone here remembers Derek Brown from his time at Auburn, just one of the more dominant interior linemen of that era over at Auburn. So we'll keep an eye on that as we move through Friday and toward the weekend. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows door siding. Oh, yeah, they do shutters, too. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. When the weather gets colder, you walk by windows, and you often hear people say, it's a drafty window. You could feel the cool air coming through that window. Well, those are costly air leaks. When your window isn't sealed properly, that cool air can get in. That, of course, means that your heater has to work harder to keep your home cozy and comfortable. Well, that costs you more money. So what do? You install energy-efficient replacement windows they measure twice at Relief Windows, install once, every window custom-made for the exact specification of your home. Even like if you're in a neighborhood that requires, the HO requires wood windows, they have wood windows at Relief Windows that come with a lifetime transferable warranty. Y'all, they're never going to be the cheapest, to say it all the time. If you're just getting quotes to shop price, it's never going to be Relief Windows. They're never going to be the cheapest. They sell a premium product with exceptional customer service and a true lifetime transferable warranty. If you want the best, there's one choice. It's Relief Windows. ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. Lee Sterling's best bets in 17 minutes from right now. Very much looking forward to that conversation. Lee will give us picks on a handful of games, see what he thinks about LSU and Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Muse, Paulie, and I will give you our what to watch here in about 15 minutes. When we come back here at Court's Table, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. 3 things that we're keeping an eye on this football weekend. We'll do that as we roll along. It is a Thursday edition of AFR. We are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. We're live at Court to Table on Burbank. Gordon McKernan with us in 32 minutes. Y'all stick around here on AFR.
After Further Review.
Let's Rev, y'all. R-E-V, letsrev.com, letsrev.com. I love telling you about Rev for a lot of reasons. So Rev, they're local, first and foremost, and have been for 90 years. 90 years. Also, they have everything you need. Like if you're looking for cable services, if you're looking for home automation, all that stuff, Rev does it all. But most importantly, be it for your home or your business, Rev offers a high-speed, all-fiber network. Fired up. A couple weeks ago, the Rev crews were in our neighborhood, trenching my yard to lay that fiber. And again, that's the benefit of an all-fiber network. Storms come, winds blow, knock down power lines. A lot of people get knocked offline. Not if you're a Rev customer, part of their all-fiber network, because the lines are underground. They're buried, so you have to worry about that inclement weather coming through. You're never offline, and always high speed up to 5 gigs in the backing of a local all-fiber network. It's Rev. Let'sRev.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
Cruising along here, halfway home on a Thursday edition of AFR, presented by Decision Critical. As they always say, it's not just healthcare, it's healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com, DecisionCriticalBR.com. Remember, not just in Baton Rouge, however, all over the state of Louisiana, and soon to be opening their Dallas office there at Decision Critical. All right, Gordon will be here with us in 30 minutes from right now to start hour number 3. We will get to our best bets of the week with Lee Sterling coming up in about 15 minutes from right now. But every single Thursday, Muse, Paulie, and I, as we kick off the football weekend with Thursday Night Football, we give you 3 things to watch in the football weekend. Let's do it now.
Here's what we're watching this football weekend.
All right, we'll go ahead and get this started here. We'll look at Oregon at Iowa. Man, this is a big one. Top 20 matchup. Oregon needs it for their playoff hopes, though. What's their best win? At Penn State? Well, that doesn't look as good as it did a while ago. Yes, Iowa, they might end up 8-4, but a win in Kinnick will always stand up, especially in the month of November. Oregon has been bet up to a 6.5-point favorite. They are the better team, but a really tough place to play. We'll see if they can get it done because they need it.
I'll be watching Texas A&M and Mizzou. Texas A&M 8-0 on the season, coming off that blowout win against a team that will remain unnamed. Missouri has lost 2 of the last 3 games, and the biggest loss of all is quarterback Bo Kurbula. Matthew Zollers will become the first true freshman to start at quarterback for Missouri since Drew Lock started the final 8 games of the 2015 season. A&M looking to take advantage of that freshman QB and all but lock up a playoff spot. Can A&M run the table, finish the season undefeated, and finally find themselves in Atlanta for the SEC championship game?
BYU and Texas Tech, a top 10 matchup, just like we all had it before the season started. It's 11 a.m. on ABC. These 2 teams are the favorites to win the Big 12. Red Raiders at minus $1.70, and the Cougs are plus 320. BYU, one of the few remaining unbeatens remaining in college football. There's only 4. BYU's among them. I have continued to fade BYU all season long, and they continue to escape with a Houdini act. They did it against Arizona. They did it against Utah. They're an underdog in Lubbock. I'm not surprised that they're an underdog in Lubbock, but at this point, I'm probably just not going to keep putting my hand on that stove. BYU at Texas Tech on Saturday.
Auburn and Vanderbilt up in Nashville. Obviously, look, DJ Durkin's first game as the interim head coach for the Auburn Tigers. You want to see if there's that interim bump. Told you earlier and around the SEC, Ashton Daniels will get his 2nd consecutive start for Auburn. Came in the Arkansas game to play the second half. Mixed results between that and obviously the game at Kentucky. But the matchup that's most intriguing here is Auburn's defense is really good. How do they handle Diego Pavia, who we know is a dynamic playmaker? If Auburn is to stay in this game, it'll be on the backs of their defense, as it has been all year. Maybe there is a little hope for an upset.
No, I will not actually be watching this game, but I will be interested to see the New York Jets following the trade deadline. So they were playing the Browns this week, and the Jets have totally hit the reset button. They traded Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams at the deadline. They acquired 3 first-round picks, a second-round pick, A.D. Mitchell, wide receiver, and defensive tackle Maisie Smith. So the Jets are the favorites to win the number one to land the number one overall pick. They do play the Browns, who have 2 wins. So can the Jets, quote unquote, screw this up and actually beat the Browns this weekend?
Massive opportunity for Jacksonville this weekend. They take on Houston. C.J. Stroud not expected to play as he goes through the concussion protocol. Texans, they're already down and out at 3-6. Jacksonville right now with a big opportunity. They're 5-3 after the overtime win against the Raiders in Week 9. They're still growing there, but this is a Texans team that has been really good defensively, but a big opportunity here. If Jacksonville can pass protect for Trevor Lawrence, they'll have a great opportunity in this ballgame and move to 6-3. It's a giant opportunity for Jacksonville against a C.J. Stroudless Houston. Can they take advantage?
My last one is Sunday Night Football. Steelers at Chargers. Long cross-country trip for Pittsburgh. They're a division leader. Los Angeles, they're trailing the AFC West by 1 game so far. No tackles for Los Angeles against that Pittsburgh pass rush. That's the matchup to keep an eye on. Already some money coming in on the Steelers.
And I'll be watching Patriots versus Buccaneers. New England's one of the surprise teams in the NFL this season. They look like they've hit on quarterback Drake May. New England 7-2, riding a 7-game win streak. The Bucs are 6-2, coming off that win against the Saints. Baker Mayfield has been an early season MVP candidate. Both teams looking to extend their lead in their respective divisions.
And you better be paying attention to Baltimore against Minnesota. The Ravens had no issues last week against Miami in getting Lamar Jackson back. And despite being 3-5 on the season, how important is Lamar Jackson? The Ravens are 3-5 on the season. They still have a 56% chance of winning their division. Well, it's also a really crappy division right now. But they added Draymond Jones at the trade deadline to help with that defense. They'll be going against this week a really good Minnesota defense. But this is one as Baltimore continues their climb out of the cellar. We'll see if they can get. Baltimore's a 4-point favorite against Minnesota. There you have it. That's what we're keeping an eye on here on this football weekend. We'll come back on Monday and tell you how it all bore out. It is After Further Review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. That's WilliamsonEye.com. Schedule that consultation. Y'all, it's November the 6th. We're getting near the end of the year. If you have HSA or FSA funds remaining, don't let them expire. You can use that toward your LASIK, your PRK, your custom lens replacement, or your EVO ICL. That's the implantable contact lens. That's an alternative to LASIK. LASIK changes the shape of your eye. The ICL, the EVO ICL, implants a contact lens, and that is a reversible procedure. Point is, there's options. It's affordable. They have financing to match any budget. It's the Williamson Eye Center. You want to ditch the contacts and glasses forever? Dr. Blake Williamson can help. 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's WilliamsonEye.com. Hey, we started the show today with my thoughts on what happened with Dr. Wade Roos, the newly elected LSU president. Told you that we had we have a report up at LouisianaSports.net this morning, an exclusive convo that I had with a member of Dr. Roos's staff there in the office of the president, who had authority to speak on behalf of the president, sort of clarified that Verge Osbury is the LSU athletic director. No ambiguity. There's not going to be a search for a new AD after a football coach is hired, effectively acknowledging that the president used a poor word choice in the interview he gave on Wednesday. They owned that completely, which I respect tremendously. Talked about that to open the show. And now, if you follow the president on social media, at LSU President is the Twitter or the X account. Dr. Wade Roos did take a photograph with Verge Osbury. This is very much their message to the world that yes, Verge has taken over this role. The tweet from Dr. Rouse, and again, it's at LSU President if you want to give the account a follow. It's a photo of Dr. I said Rouse, excuse me, Dr. Roos. Wow, old habits die hard. Of Dr. Roos and Verge on the field at Tiger Stadium, and the tweet reads, I just had a terrific meeting with LSU's AD Verge Osbury. No interim, no acting. I think it's a very, very, very carefully thought out word choice. I just had a terrific meeting with LSU's AD Verge Osbury. I can't wait to get to work with him in our world-class athletic department. Now, let's beat Bama this weekend. Go Tigers. Again, that's from the Twitter for Dr. Wade Roos, the new LSU president. So, Verge Osbury is LSU's athletic director. No ambiguity. They've removed interim. It's done. He's the guy, and LSU moves forward. All right, it is after further review. Gordon's here in 18 minutes from right now. We're looking forward to that conversation. When we come back, Lee Sterling joins us with his best bets. It is a Thursday edition of AFR presented by Decision Critical. We're here at Court to Table in Baton Rouge.
After further review.
Man, I love telling you about Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. And, I know whenever I say it often, people laugh at the name or the funny logo with, the steeple. You get it all the double entendre and everything with it. But the bottom line is, the reason I love telling you about what Goodwood does is because every single day they help people live healthier, more fulfilling lives. It sucks going through life being sick and tired, feeling achy, and going through the aging process. I'm 43. I've lived through some of that. A lot of you are older. You think, man, I wish I was 43. If you're right there, if that's where you are, and you want to feel like you did when you were 43 or 23, it's possible. Hormone replacement therapy could be an option for you, but a simple blood test will let you know. Maybe it's something like Samorelin or Tesamorelin, some of the other growth hormones where they can supplement to get you feeling like you did when you were younger. Learn more today. YourGoodwood.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
Place your bets, gentlemen.
It's time to head to the window.
Don't gamble it all in one place.
This is Lee Sterling's Best Bets, brought to you by Paramount Sports.
Wrapping up hour number 2, we're here at Court to Table in Baton Rouge, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. Lee Sterling jumps aboard with us, preview the biggest games. Lee, how are you, man?
I'm good. Headed a couple more shows to Joe's Stone Crab. You ever been here, Miami, going to Joe's?
I have never been to Joe's in Miami.
All right. Well, if you're ever in Miami, be my treat. So,
deal.
Always a good time. It's the scene. It is the scene when you go there. So,
I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Okay.
Hey, not talking about Miami, but how about in the state of Florida? Gators were close, man, against Georgia. Now they got Kentucky, which just pulled off a big upset, got Hugh Freeze fired. Gators are 3.5-point favorite here. Lee, make sense of that for me.
Well, I think Kentucky, for some reason, just can't get it done at home. So lost all 3 home games here in SEC play. Defense kind of curious. They ranked 94th in passing yards and have allowed giving up just 6 touchdowns through the air all season. So the Gators defense, they've allowed just 18 total touchdowns in 8 games. Kentucky, I just don't think they have the firepower here. They're 104th overall in scoring. DJ Lagway hasn't been elite, but at least cutting down on the interceptions. Just 3 since week 3 against LSU. So their running game getting going, over 110 yards rushing, 3 of the last 4 games. I like Florida here, 30-17.
What about the team that eked past Florida last week, Georgia? This is an interesting line, Lee, that we've already seen move a little bit. I think right now it's 7.5. Georgia on the road at Mississippi State. Can the Bulldogs keep it inside the number?
I think it's going to be tough here. So why do I say that? They were on the field for 80 plays last week, and year 2 that follows a disastrous year 1 and some of the most profitable things out there. Mississippi State's 8-1 against the spread to date right now. But
wow.
I just think that they're going to have to get a couple breaks here. And this Georgia team, they just keep moving on, and there goes. So go their quarterback, and he's the engine that lights the fire here with this team. I think they're going to win, even heading into that that Texas game next week, 35-24. Yep.
Okay. Lee has been an ATM, by the way, 3-1-1 a week ago in Fuego this year. Vandy has got Auburn this week. Of course, Auburn with DJ Durkin. One of the things I always ask Lee is about that interim bump and if that may serve Auburn here. But Vandy nearly a touchdown favorite.
Yeah, and I think actually the Vanderbilt offense is slowing down a little bit. So they're not scoring 40, 50 points anymore. Their offensive line, they just don't have a lot of depth there. Their rushing game, just 58 yards last week against Texas, through three quarters. They really weren't in the game here. Auburn, if they head back to their starting quarterback, they'll be better served. Thought that going to Daniels was kind of a stopgap move, and there's a reason why Stanford tells you don't let the door hit you in the you-know-what on the way out. So I think Auburn's defense is going to get a couple takeaways here, and they've been the one constant. Vandy escapes 23-20 again, but I'll take the 6.5. Take a shot here with Auburn.
Okay. Lee Sterling is with us, ParamountSports.com, ParamountSports.com. Aggies trucking along, man. They have got a date in the playoffs, possibly an SEC championship game appearance in their crosshairs, and they are a 7-point favorite against a Mizzou team that's down their starting quarterback, Bo Pribula. We think the Aggies roll here?
I'm going to give you a not-so-early 2029 draft preview.
Okay.
I think Matt Zollers is going to be a top 10 pick.
Okay.
The kid's a stud.
Muse, mark the tape. Mark the tape.
Yep, mark it down. So I think he's special, but arm strength is incredible. But Bo Pribula would be better for this game, running and throwing the football. And Zollers doesn't have that threat running the football, and he's staring down his receivers right now a little bit. So you'll notice the arm strength, but he's got a lot to learn here. Also, his best receiver, Brett Norfleet, who plays tight end, H-back, receiver some. He's not 100%. If he plays with a shoulder injury, he could be limited. After that, the next four guys are only averaging between 8 and 12 yards of reception, whereas Craver and Concepcion for A&M, between 15 and almost 18 yards of reception. This Missouri team is good, but under Eli Drinkwitz, since he got there 0-6 straight up against top 10 teams, A&M stays unbeaten, 28-17. Yep.
28-17, so win and a cover for the Aggies. Before we get to LSU Bama, I see here on the sheet we got Packers-Eagles game of the week.
Yep, love this game. I think there's a clear right side. Anyone wants to get it, be one of the first 5 callers. Call 800-400-9741. 800-400-9741. 800-400-9741. That's 800-400-9741. Of course, you can always get on by ParamountSports.com as well. All right, Lee, LSU, we've had 2 weeks to stew over Brian Kelly getting fired, all the tumult here. Meanwhile, team's been insulated over there practicing. They're a double-digit dog on the road in Tuscaloosa. Alabama 10 is the number. Tigers got a shot to keep this thing close, man? Well, Alabama coming off playing and beating 5 straight ranked opponents. Impressive. We know coaches like Florida's Billy Napier and Penn State's James Franklin were well-liked. They played hard for him before and after. So I think this is different. I think you're going to get a bump here. I think these kids just didn't like Brian Kelly. He wore out his welcome here. Completely different story. The administration reaching out to welcome back the alumni and fan base. And I know the numbers are awful. Raw offensive numbers, 25 or less points in all SEC games. They're ranked 124th in rushing offense out of 136 teams. And the teams below them played on Tuesday and Wednesday night pretty much this week. So that being said, Alabama is good. But I don't see them as good as the teams that played and won national titles here. And the way you match up strengths here is Alabama's strength against LSU strength, pass defense, and I think Garrett Nussmeier is going to show out here. Alabama escapes 30-24. I'm taking the 10.5. It wouldn't shock me if LSU wins. I would bet 2/3 or 3/4 of the money on LSU plus the points. Put some on the money line, and if they win, we'll be able to order a bunch of desserts, a lot of key lime pie at Joe's Stone Crab when you come down. All right?
I'll look forward to it. He is Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Thank you, Lee.
All right, Matt. Take care.
All right, we'll do it again next week. It is After Further Review. Love having you aboard with us here. We always enjoy talking to Lee. We appreciate our friends over at Shaw Bills. Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. As a matter of fact, we're right here on Burbank. On the other side of Burbank, and about, a quarter mile down the road, is the Burbank location of Shaw Bills. You can find the one nearest you. Just go to the website at ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com, CHABILLS, ShawBillsTire.com. Of course, name brand tires at wholesale prices. And they're going to give you, of course, they'll treat you like family, and they can service your vehicle with whatever you have going on. Oil change, tire rotation, brake squeaking, check engine light on, whatever is going on with your vehicle. They'd love to service you. They can help you out at Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. They'll treat you like family because that's what Mr. Charlie said they were going to do more than 50 years ago when they opened their doors, and they still hold true to those tenets today at Shaw Bills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shaw Bills, we keep you rolling. All right, y'all, Hour 3, staring us in the face here from court to table. Gordon McKernan joins us on site next.
AFR.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Hey, I get to remind you about Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Hey, we're getting close to the holidays, so I will soon be able to start telling you about everything coming up for your Thanksgiving feast, Christmas time as well. But listen, no matter what day of the week it is, you got to do your grocery shopping. Rouse's, they've been helping you do that for 65 years. Rouse's.com is the website, or you can always download the app, and I always encourage you to download the app. Sometimes you're just in a hurry. And so what you could do is you could go to the app, choose your items. Your personal shopper will go pick out the items for you, and then you pull up into one of the designated spots. They'll bring it out to your car, and if you spend $35, it's totally free service. So why wouldn't you do that? Save you time. Something that became very popular during COVID and has just continued to explode in popularity. And they do it every day over at Rouse's. 70 locations from Lake Charles to Orange Beach and points in between. Rouse's.com. Best supermarket in the Gulf South. It is Rouse's. Rouse's.com. Rouse's. This feels like home.